So today we're going to do the handover video on the Laika Kosmo 509L. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side, you'll notice you've got your fill-up points. Opening up this, you've got your AdBlue, which is below, which is topped up from factory, along with your diesel tank just up at the top. Make sure it's diesel and not petrol. Moving on, opening up the passenger side, you can see that this model is fitted with Remus cab blinds. All you need to do to operate these is simply pinch the clip to remove the blind, and using the magnetic strip that will just connect up like so, blacking out the cab. You've got these on each of the windows as well as the same clip on the front, which when you just pinch, that will release and the blinds will shut. I find that when taking these back, they are quite delicate, so you just got to bear that in mind. So just when you are taking them back, just lead from the bottom like so and let them clip into place just up at the top like that. That'll then allow them to clip in and it'll stop them from pinging out and getting caught. And as a rule of thumb with anything in a motorhome is if it feels like it's being forced, you are probably doing something wrong. Just be delicate and be mindful of that when using it. You'll notice also you've got a bonnet release catch which is here. That releases the bonnet. Coming over to the bonnet, there's not many things that we need to know, but the main things to point out is if you're ever jump starting the vehicle. I'll open the bonnet now and show you how that is done. With the bonnet up, you can see to jump start the vehicle, your negative terminal is just onto this little point here, and your positive terminal is just underneath this clip here. Just need to pop that up and then you can connect it on like so. Now you have got a little plus sign on here to indicate that that's positive, and as I say, just remember that that is your negative point. With the bonnet up, they're the main things that you need to know, but just to point out a couple more things, you'll notice you've got your engine oil here, you've then got your brake disc fluid, which is just further up, you've then got your engine coolant, and then your washer fluid just beside that. Moving around the vehicle, now you'll see that this vehicle is fitted with an awning. The rule of thumb with an awning is if it is windy, put the awning in, and if it's raining, if you can, put it in. You can use it during the rain, but you do need to make sure that you do dry it out. And as I say, if it's windy, make sure that that's in, because as you can imagine, it's like a massive sail on the side of the vehicle. Coming over to this side, you can see that you've got your gas points, which is just here. This has got an external gas point fitted. Turn your gas bottles on when you're on site and that will flow through and allow you to use the gas points. Next up, you've got your habitation door, along with a door light above that, and your two fridge vents are just next to this. If it is a hot day, for example, and you've got the sun beating down on this side of the vehicle, just be mindful that this is where the fridge pulls all of its air from. And if that is hot air and you've got the sun beating down on this side of the vehicle, it's not going to help it run efficiently. So try and keep this under shade, perhaps bring the awning out or turn the vehicle round just to help that. Moving to the rear of the vehicle, you can see that you've got your your fill-up point for your water. That's just with a cap. Unscrew that, and using a food grade hose pipe, you can fill up the tank. This will take about 120 litres. And as I say, when it's full, that'll start flowing out, spurting out. That's when you know you're good to go. In the rear of the vehicle, you've got a big garage, which I'll open up now for you. And with the garage open, you can see at the back, you have your toolkit, which is just here. You've then got your box for your accent system that it came out of. You've got a filling cushion. And then you have got your two seats, as this will take 4 people, and that will just connect into the seat base and allow you to face forward when travelling with 4. In this bag here, you've also got your carpets for your cab. Now moving to the back, you can see this vehicle takes 150 kg in the rear garage, so it's plenty. Above that, you've got a socket and a light, and in this little hole here, you can use it for storage. Now you'll notice that you have got some stickers here which indicate your first drain down point. Your drain down point is your fresh drain down point, and this is on the inside of the vehicle. To open that, simply remove the lid and it gains you access to the freshwater tank. As I say, this will take about 120 litres, and to empty this, all you need to do is to turn this little knob here, twist that like so, and that will dump the water. Now there's two settings when releasing the water. The first setting is where you'll turn the valve, and then you'll hit a lug, so you'll feel like a little click. If you stop at that point, the water will be drained down to 20 litres, and in essence that's a quick drain down point. So for example, if you're moving off site and you need to drain down the vehicle but want to leave a bit of water in for your next stop, leave 20 litres in and that's how it's done. But for example, if you are moving off site and you need to drain the entire thing down, just keep turning that lug past that click that you hear, and that will drain the entire thing down. Now what I recommend is, with all your drain down points, when you have drained the majority of the water out on the site, you can leave all your drain down points open, because as you're travelling off site, the vibrations of the road will get all that water out. This red cap as well can remove, and you can simply clean and wipe the tank when in use. So that's your freshwater drain down point. You've got three main drain down points in the vehicle. You've got your freshwater drain down point, your wastewater drain down point, which is external to the van, and then your boiler drain down point, which is again, like the freshwater, internal to the van. They're all very important, and please ensure that when the vehicle is not in use, especially in the cooler climates, to drain them down. That lid then goes back on to seal the unit, and then you can use it as a bit of storage. Moving to the back, you can see you've got your reversing camera up at the top, and then another access point for the garage on the other side. In here, opening this up for you now, with the locker open, you can see this gains you access to your gas locker. In here we'll take two 11 kg bottles, and using the pigtail which is just connected here, that will connect up to the bottle and connect your bottle to the gas regulator up above. Now please make sure that when travelling the gas is turned off for safety precautions. You should only have the gas on when travelling. When stationed. Moving on, you've then got your mains hookup points. You can see that we're hooked up at the moment, so we've got electric to the vehicle, so when on site you can use that. Next, you've then got your toilet cassette, and this is where you empty the waste for the toilet cassette. I'll open that up for you now. Okie dokie, so with the locker open, you can see it gains you access to the cassette. The most important thing that you need to remember is to always have the blade closed on the toilet before removing this system. If it's open, what might happen is you run the risk of this getting stuck, and then sometimes you'll go to pull it and it'll snap. So please make sure that it's closed. With that closed, you can then pull up on this tab and slide out like so. So with the cassette pulled out now, you can see that it's very simple to empty. All you need to do is pull out the funnel, undo the cap, and using the orange button on the back, click that to release the internal vacuum, and that will empty the entire system. Putting it back, all you need to do is put the cap back on, put the funnel back in, and then line it up and simply slide in. You will notice that you have got this orange latch here which also turns. That is what makes contact with the blade when opening and closing the cassette. That should always remain in that position. That should never need to move. If that does move, you do run the risk of when you're putting it back in, again, it damaging, and especially if you force it, you could snap the system. So please don't do that. Just be mindful of that. But as I say, once you're ready, all you need to do is pop it back in there, line it in, and line the little orange clip with this indent in the plastic here, which will connect it into place for transit. Moving on, you can see you've got a vent here for circulation, and directly below that you've got your next drain down point. This is your second drain down point, and this is for your wastewater. As I mentioned, your wastewater is external to the vehicle, and you can see that you've got a little T-bar here. On the inside of the vehicle you'll have a little handle which will connect onto this. You can then turn that, and that will empty the entire system. When on site, you'll have a big grid just like you would with your fresh water, which you now need to drive over. Then turn the handle, and that will dump the wastewater out of the tank. As I mentioned, when travelling you can leave that open once you've drained down the majority of the water to get all the remaining bit out. Finally, you've then got your truma vent. This is for your heating system on the inside of the vehicle. This does get very hot because in essence this is the vehicle's chimney, so don't hang anything on there. So now moving on the inside of the vehicle, you can see as you open up the habitation door, you're greeted with your control panel just to the left of you. On the control panel, it's dead simple. You've then got your main master switch at the top. Turn that on and off to operate the system. I'm going to turn that on. Next, you've then got your internal lights. Click that. That turns on and off the internal lights in the vehicle. You've then got your pump button. Just clicking that will activate the pump. Whilst we're on the topic of the pump, what you need to do is when you're on site, make sure that the pump is only running when you've got water in the system. But when on site, put the water in the system as I've shown you on the outside, and then go to all of your taps, including your shower, turn it on and turn it to hot. What that'll do is it'll pull fresh water from the freshwater tank into the boiler and then out of the tap. It'll spurt and splutter initially, but then when it's running steadily, you've primed your system for your hot water. Once you've done it for hot water, put it on to cold and do the exact same. When it's running steadily, you've primed your system. Once you've done that, you can leave your pump on, providing there is water in the van, because each of your taps, including your shower, are on something called a micro switch, which will activate and deactivate the pump whenever you need it. So just like you're at home. Now the reason I always tell you to do it on hot water first is that will pull, as I say, water through the boiler. Your water holds about 10 litres of water, and what that needs to do to heat up is when you've put your heating on, that does take a bit of time to heat that water up. So what I'd say is do this, then turn your heating on for your water, so come the time when you need to actually use the hot water, it should already be up to temperature or on its way to getting up to temperature. As I say, it isn't instant, so it does take a bit of time. Now coming back over to the control panel, moving on from the pump, you've then got your door light, which I mentioned on the outside, which is next. And then below this, you've got your indication switches. The first one is for your habitation battery. You can see we're plugged in, so we're at 100%. You've then got your vehicle battery, which we're not far, about 90% there for your vehicle battery. The next one is your freshwater tank, with nothing really in it for the fresh water at the moment. And then finally, you've got a little button here which will dim the screen when you are using the system at night. Next is your heating system. The heating is a truma system. It's dead easy, dead simple. To turn it on, all you need to do is hold your finger on this button here, and that will activate the system. Everything below the line is what you want to select, and using the little dial, as you can see, it will flick through the options. When it's blinking, you're just in essence hovering over the icon. Click the button, and as you can see, you can turn the system on. Flick through the dial to flick through the heating options. You can take this all the way to 30 degrees and then simply click in the button to turn it on. So you've got your vehicle's temperature at the front, or the first icon's the vehicle temperature. You then got your water temperature, which is, you can select between Eco, Hot or Boost. Eco is approximately 40 degrees, so you'll use that when you're having a shower. Hot is approximately 60 degrees, so when you're washing up, you'll be using that. And then finally, Boost will in essence concentrate on heating the water. So rather than heating the vehicle itself, it will heat the water and concentrate on that. Perhaps if it's a cool day, you might want to do that. Next, you've then got the option of what you want to fuel the vehicle with, or the heating system with. So you can run this off gas. Mix 1, which is a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt electric. Mix 2, which is a mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt electric. EL1, which is just 1 kilowatt electric. And EL2, which is 2 kilowatt electric. So when you're on site, 9 times out of 10, you'll be running it off the EL2. Certain sites will limit you to a certain amount of power, so you may have to go to EL1. If you're on EL1, I recommend sticking it on a mix, which is a mixture of gas or electric, or purely gas, especially obviously when you're wild camping. Next, you've then got your fan. Now at the moment, because I've not selected a heating, it'll only give me the option of vent, which will recirculate the current air. But similar to the water temperature, when you've got everything running, you do have the option of running that on Eco, High or Boost, and Boost will again concentrate on heating the vehicle's temperature rather than water, so it works vice versa. You can then set a timer if you wanted to, which is just below. You can then obviously change the time, and then finally you've got a little settings button here, and you can see that right at the bottom you've got the option of reset, just there. Now, the only time you really need to reset the vehicle or the vehicle's heating system is if you get an error code. If you get an error code, 9 times out of 10, the reason for that is you've got you've selected a fuel that you haven't got. So, for example, if I try and run this heating system using gas, because I've no gas to the vehicle, as you can see, I'd get an error code because it's trying to fuel it with something it hasn't got. If you do get that error code, you need to therefore reset it. Go into the settings panel as I've just shown you, click the reset, it will then initialize. You need to wait about 20 minutes or so, and then you can use the heating system. To turn it off, all you need to do is hold this button in, and as you can see, it just turns off the system. Moving on now, you can see next you've got your fridge, which is just here. You can see you've got controls up at the top. This is a Thetford fridge, and it's a 3-way system. The reason it's a 3-way system is there's 3 ways to fuel it, so you can run it off electric, which is 230 volt. You can run it off your 12 volt leisure battery or your gas. So you have a few options. So to operate it, hold the button or click the hold the button here, and that will turn the system on. I'm just going to quickly change it. There we are. So, to operate this system, you can see you've got your controls here and then your selector in the middle. What you need to do is to select a fuel, as I've just done. You need to hold the square button in, like so, until the icon flashes. You can see that that's now flashing. Then using the arrows, you can flick through the fuel that you want to set the vehicle to. So you've got a few options. Now, as I say, your first icon, just click that, sorry. Your first icon is a 230 volt socket, which will run off when you're on Hookup, like I am now, and when you're on a campsite. The next icon is a 12 volt leisure battery. So when you're travelling, you can run the fridge off your 12 volt. Now, a lot of people think that they can run the fridge off 12 volt when they are camping, or wild camping rather. That is not the case, because you'll simply just burn out the electrics. So please bear that in mind. If you are wild camping, you'll need to run it off your gas, which brings me to the next icon along. 12 volt is purely for when you're travelling, because this vehicle comes with a built-in alternator, which will simply send power from the engine battery straight to the leisure battery, which will therefore feed the fridge. So bear that in mind. And as I say, the last one is the gas symbol, which you'll run when you're wild camping and stationary. Finally, you've then got your temperature, which is over here, which you will have seen. So if I hold this, it shows you your temperature, which again you can change. Now, you will notice you have got a little A button on here, which stands for auto. The A button will automatically assign whatever fuel you have got in the to the vehicle to run the fridge off. So you can see that at the moment it's on A, and it's automatically sent it over to 230 volt because I am plugged in at the moment. If I was stationary and I was wild camping, it would flick it over to gas. To turn it off, just hold, and that will turn off like so. One thing to know with the fridge is the fridge does a very good job at maintaining temperature, but not the best of jobs at getting it down to temperature. So what I personally recommend is, if you want cold things to be in the fridge, put cold things in there, and if you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in there. Moving on, moving on to the kitchen, which is just opposite the fridge. You can see you've got some storage along with your oven and grill, which is lower down, and a bit of storage here as well. Above you've got your cutlery drawer, and then a nice deep sink, and your hob, which is just above that. You'll notice on the in the kitchen area that you have got a little panel down here next to a 230-volt socket, and this is what is used to operate the bed. Now when dropping the bed, which is up at the front, you need to unclip the safety clips, which you'd have when in transit, and obviously make sure that the area is clear. When the area is clear like this, all you need to do is click this button, just like that, and you can see it just drops into place. It will then stop automatically, and you can see that your bed is already made. You can leave all your bedding on here, and then you have got some ladders which are just in the back here, which will connect up to here, and then you're good to go. You have got a bit of netting underneath here as well, which will connect up to this point here. With the bed up, your lounge is back to being a lounge, and you can then use it as you need. Now for the table, you've got a little support which just pulls out, and then your table top will flip over like so. And then, as I mentioned, as you can see, this is a bench seat orientation, and you have got your seat belts which are just mounted onto the side here. All you need to do is simply remove your cushions like so. You can see this will reveal the seat base. All you then need to do is fold up this seat like this, connect into the points here, and then you can see that you've got these two holes at the back along with a little nut. At the back, as I mentioned, in the garage, that's where your seat rests are held, or the backrests rather, are held. They simply connect into here, and then using the little nut which connects, this will then allow you to face forward. Then you then use the seat base to seat forward. Dead simple. Your seat belt will then pull round, and just in here is your buckle to connect you in. This is the same for the other side, so it's the exact same, and you'll face forward as I mentioned. Now moving on to the other side, as I say, it is the exact same as the in terms of the seat setup as the lounge next to it. The only difference underneath here is your final drain down point. You have a drain down point remaining, which is, as I say, your boiler drain down point, which is very, very important. To access that, all you need to do is remove this backrest here, remove this seat base, which is just on the Velcro. That then pulls off, and then flipping up this, you can see it'll gain you access to your drain down point, which is just here. As I say, this is for your boiler, and you need to always make sure that this is drained down, especially in the winter. I personally do it in the summer as well, just to get in the habit of doing it, but always make sure that it's drained down when not in use. Now, you can see at the moment the system is open. You know that because there's a little blue tab on the side which is just poking out at the moment, as you can see, and on the top, the diamond, there's a little black nib which is popped up. To close this, all you need to do is turn the diamond like so, so the black nib pops in, and then click in the blue tab like so, and that will seal the system. When not in use, so you want to drain the system, all you need to do is ping that out, and then that blue tab will ping out and drain the vehicle, the vehicle's boiler. Now, you may well forget about this, and say, for example, if you've not used the vehicle in a while, you'll forget that this exists. Then you'll call to pull some water through the system, and it'll simply drain out the van. With that in mind, you just need to obviously remember to come to here and shut that system. Now, the great thing with this is this reacts to temperature. It's in essence a frost protection valve. Now, how that works is if it gets to a certain temperature, what will happen is, for example, if you've forgotten to drain it down, it will automatically drain itself. So the diamond will turn like that and the blue tab will pop out and it will drain down the boiler if you forget to do it. So fail safe basically. Now what you need to remember is if it is a very cold day, what may happen, and again if you've not used the vehicle in a while this will often occur, what will happen is you'll go to close this system, so you'll turn the diamond and then you'll go to push in the blue button and the blue button will keep pinging out. The reason for that is it's reacting to temperature, and it's doing that because it's worried that it may freeze. So if it does keep on doing that, you need to go to your heating, as I've shown you, turn your heating on and run the heating system. You can run the heating without any water, so don't worry about that. But what that will do is, as you can see, there's some vents here. This will just circulate air through this section here, heating up this area. And after about 30 minutes, you can then just pop the blue button in, like so it's flush, and that will allow you to close your boiler. It's a really good system, because as I say, it's a fail-safe, but you just need to make sure that if you've not used it in a while, you run it for about 30 minutes and then you can pop that back in. Now moving to the back of the vehicle, you can see that you've got your bathroom. We've discussed obviously about your shower and priming that, but for your bathroom you've got this door that does pull across for privacy. Opening this up, you can see you've got a mirror here, and then your toilet, which is just here. Now we've gone into detail, as I kept on saying, about closing the blade when that is in use. So to use the toilet, you've got this blade here. The blade is this silver piece of plastic, and this opens and closes. If you push that away from you, that'll open the cassette. So when in use, you need to push this open, opening the cassette so all the waste can drop into the cassette, and then using the blue button up there, click that, that will flush the system. Once you've done that, pull the blade to. That will close the blade, and you do that for two reasons. The main reason being is it does stop odours from escaping, but secondly it'll also get you in the habit of having that closed, so when you come to remove the cassette you don't run the risk of it snapping. So close and open that, obviously just by sliding that back and forth. And then up at the top, it's worth mentioning that your flush will only work when you've got your pump running, so make sure your pump is on for that to work, and that just uses fresh water to clean the cassette and to flush the waste down. You've got a heater here along with a bit of storage next to it as well, as you can see. Moving out of the bathroom and into the bedroom area, you can see you've got your two single beds, and this slat does pull across. And as you saw in the garage, you had another infill piece that can slot into here to make it a big double should you want. Pulling that back, that connects in. You can see you've got two steps up here, along with a bit of storage underneath. And on this side, in here, you've got your trip box. Your trip box is just here, and this houses, quite difficult to show you on the video, but this houses your trip switches. So if the vehicle ever trips, you just need to come to this point and check that. As I say, a really good bit of storage back here, and you have also got a hanging rail up there should you need it. Just below you can see you've got another storage point, which is nice for shoes, nice and deep. You can see that just connects in flush like that. And turning back, you can see you've got another door here, which is just on a clip at the moment, but that will pull to, say, if someone was using the bathroom area whilst there was people asleep in bed. Now that's going to conclude the handover video on the Laika 509L. I hope you enjoyed.